Welcome to Fed by Fire. I'm Christian Whitlow. And today, I wanted to do something a little different. I wanted to sit down with y'all and with my handy dandy laptop, and we're gonna break down just exactly what the sealed, U.S. States District Court documents, what the criminal complaint out of the Pooh Shiesty case says word for word. I know there's no shortage of people covering this, but, I wanted to put my own input in, and this is old news. This is going to be basically a several part series. We're going to go over the criminal complaint, we're going to go over the contract, and we're going to go over the video that was recently released. And then we're going to talk about, a conclusion and where we think it's going to go. So, first, the United States of America versus Lontrell Williams Jr., Lontrell Williams Sr., Rodney Wright Jr., DeMarcus Glover, Darian McDaniel, Terrence Rogers, Corday Johnson, Kadarius Waters, and Demarion Gibson. So this was filed on March 30th, 2026 by Clerk, U.S. District Court, Karen Mitchell. So, this is real deal shit. And it was, following the best of the knowledge, the belief, on or about the dates January 10th, 2026 in the county of Dallas in the Northern District of Texas. The defendants violated 18 U.S.C. 1201 A and C, kidnapping and conspiracy to commit kidnapping. So that's a serious ass charge if I ever seen one. Alright, so the affidavit in support of the application for criminal complaint is Brittany Garcia, Special Agent SA with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. She was being first on duty, sworn, hereby, depose of the state as follows. And this is her introduction. She said, "I am Special Agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation and have been since September 2022. I received training from the FBI and I have worked alongside various law enforcement agencies that investigate bank robberies, carjackings, and other violent crimes." So even though she's only, been on since 2022, it sounds like, she's been around the block a little bit, And based on her training and experience, she said, "I am familiar with the ways that criminals conduct their business, including the various methods by which robberies and kidnappings are conducted. I have used various investigative techniques, such as interviewing witnesses, interviewing defendants, conducting surveillance, and executing search, seizure, and arrest warrants in all my federal investigations. I am familiar with how criminals use their cell phones, vehicles, social media accounts to facilitate the commission of these types of offenses." And that sounds like that's every federal agent's toolbox these days, is everything I just said. The affidavit is based on my personal knowledge as well as information provided to me by other law enforcement officers and other individuals who have participated in this investigation. Since the affidavit is being submitted for the limited purpose of establishing probable cause for a complaint, I have not included every fact known to me concerning this investigation. Based on the facts set forth below, there is probable cause to believe that on or about January 10, 2026, in the Northern District of Texas and elsewhere, the following individuals, they violated the statute that the 18 U.S.C. 1201 A and C by knowingly combining and conspiring and agreeing with other persons, known and unknown, to commit these offenses against the United States, unlawfully seizing, confining, unveiling, decoying, kidnapping, and abducting, and carrying away for ransom and reward. Alright, we named all the people earlier. We'll just go ahead and name them again so we don't get lost about who we're talking about. DeMarcus Glover, date of birth, he was born in 2003, so, still a kid. Like, he's 5 years younger than me. Like, dang. Demarion Gibson, born in 2000. Corday Johnson, born in 2016, the same year my niece was born. Like, it's crazy. Terrence Rogers, 2000. Cordarius Waters, 2001. Lontrell Williams Jr., 1999. Lontrell Williams Sr., 1976. And Rodney Wright Jr. Hold on. Yep, and Rodney Wright Jr., 1999. So, it said on the date, January 20th, at approximately 4:50 p.m., victims who will be referred to throughout the affidavit by their initials or collectively as the victims. It says that in, parentheses. So, RD, that's Roger Davis, Gucci Mane. MM, that's the cameraman. And BP, that's his homie, I think, from Zone 3 Atlanta, or whatever, Zone 6, his childhood friend. And it says they were kidnapped and robbed at gunpoint at a music studio located on Dallas Parkway in Dallas, Texas. And this location is within the Dallas division of the Northern District of Texas. At approximately 1 o'clock on January 10th, 2026, the victims flew into Dallas alongside RD's Roger Davis, Gucci Mane's head of security, who will be referred to as CW, and other security officers hereinafter will be referred to as TD. They flew in for a scheduled business meeting between RD and Williams Jr., Pooh Shiesty. Williams Jr. is a hip-hop artist also known as Pooh Shiesty and has been signed to a recording contract for RD's music label 1017 since approximately 2021. RD and Williams Jr. were scheduled to meet because Williams Jr. was upset with the terms of his contract and wished to be released from his contractual obligations. Williams Jr. had asked RD to come to Dallas on this date so that they can meet about business. At approximately 1:45 p.m., CW, TD, and the victims arrived at the scheduled meeting location, a music recording studio located within a larger office building. When CW and TD and the victims entered the office building, they realized the recording studio, owned by an individual hereinafter referred to as JN, they saw it was closed. And while they waited for the studio to open, the five went to the liquor store and purchased some liquor and plastic red Solo cups, returning to the studio. Williams Jr. and Williams Sr. called JN multiple times on the day of the meeting at approximately 2:53 p.m. JN answered the phone and learned that Williams Sr. was attempting to book the recording studio that afternoon for Williams Jr. and RD to record music. At or around 3:15 p.m., JN opened the studio for RD, MM, BP, CW, and TD. Investigators later collected and reviewed surveillance video captured by another business located in the same office building on the same floor as the recording studio, which shows Williams Sr. outside of the office building at approximately 3:27 p.m. On January 10, 2026, and Williams Sr. appears to be speaking with someone on the cell phone before entering the building at around 3:28 p.m. At approximately 3:39 p.m., an employee of the studio arrived to assist with production. When the employee arrived, Williams Jr. and Sr. were standing at the back door of the office, engaged in what appeared to be an argument over the phone. At approximately 3:43 p.m., Williams Jr., Williams Sr., Wright, Johnson, Waters, Gibson, Glover, and McDaniel entered the east side of the office building. The target suspects walked through the lobby area of the office building before going inside the studio. One individual with a dreadlock-style haircut, later identified as Gibson, can be seen on video exiting the office building and shortly thereafter returning with a bag slung over his shoulder. Not a good look, you guys. Not a good look at all. The 9 individuals entered the studio's control room, where inside the victims were watching a football game. CW was positioned in the studio lobby, while TD remained in the vehicle they arrived in. Depicted below are the photographs of the studio lobby and the recording studio. I'll show them on screen. And these photos were taken from the Dallas Police Department. And it says, when it got there, it said that Williams Jr. had appeared to be on the phone with his probation officer, stating that his caseworker had given him permission to be out for rec time. From what the victims could hear, Williams Jr. was informed that was not the case and that he needed to return immediately. Williams Jr. agreed. Williams Jr. was wearing an ankle monitor, leading the victims to believe that Williams Jr. was on house arrest. RD told Williams Jr. they could reschedule the studio session, but Williams Jr. requested to speak with RD privately in the attached recording room. RD agreed and entered the room with Williams Jr. and Williams Sr. and Wright. Meanwhile, MM and BP remained in the control room with the 6 other individuals and continued to watch the football game with BP. The BP offered to share some liquor that they purchased with the target suspects, and at least 2 of them accepted, grabbing the red cups and making them a drink. Inside the control room, Williams Jr. produced the contract and termination or release paperwork from a bag and told RD to sign. When RD declined, Williams Jr. became agitated and the pair started to argue. MM and BP could see inside the recording room and initially believed RD and Williams Jr. to be discussing business, but as MM saw the conversation intensifying, he texted CW, who was still in the music studio's lobby. As the argument inside the recording room ensued, Williams Jr. instructed Wright to get his bag. Wright complied, leaving the recording room before returning with the bag. Williams Jr. then pulled out what appeared to be a black AK-style pistol from the bag and pointed it at RD, demanding again that RD sign with the contractual release paperwork. RD complied, signing the paperwork for Williams Jr. while Williams Sr. and Wright stood by. RD was not allowed to leave the recording room while he was held at gunpoint by Williams Jr. Wright pulled out a cell phone and purported to record RD signing the paperwork while being forced to say that he had released Williams Jr. from the contract. After the release was signed, Williams Jr. took RD's wedding ring, watch, earrings, and cash. After RD signed the contractual release paperwork, Williams Jr. provided the paperwork to Williams Sr. and asked if the paperwork was good. Williams Sr. advised that the paperwork needed to be dated, so Williams Jr. then forced RD to add a date next to the signature. As RD, Williams Jr., and Williams Sr. and Wright exited the recording room, the remaining subjects, Waters, Rogers, Johnson, Glover, McDaniel, and Gibson, produced more handguns and AR-style pistols and began demanding property and BP from MM. BP was pushed onto the couch in the control room while an individual known to BP as CMO Danfo was part. That name fucking fits him, don't he? I bet he feels like a damn fool now, for real. And they said that he knew he was part of Williams Jr.'s crew. Later identified as Rogers, that he searched his pocket, stole his wallet, stole BP's chain, and a necklace bearing the moniker 1017. That it was stolen from around his neck. And a subject he knew as Glizzy 375, later identified as McDaniel. During the robbery, McDaniel repeatedly threatened to shoot BP for moving, but Williams Jr. instructed McDaniel not to. BP further identified the individual he knew as Baby Slime 375, later identified as Johnson, as being involved in the kidnapping robbery. That during the control room robberies, Johnson possessed a firearm and held BP and others at gunpoint. Both MM and BP identified an individual they knew as KD, later identified as Waters, as also being involved in the kidnapping and robbery, possessing a firearm and holding them at gunpoint. MM was choked from behind to the point of nearly losing consciousness during the kidnapping and robbery, resulting in scratches on his neck. I'll show those on screen. Sorry. MM was robbed of his Rolex watch, a Louis Vuitton bag containing multiple other high-dollar watches, Apple AirPods, headphones, his wallet, at gunpoint by Glover. MM confirmed his Louis Vuitton bag had AirPods and wallet. Each had an Apple AirTag, a location tracking device attached. As the altercation inside the control room ensued, Wright walked over to the studio door to the lobby, closed it, and blocked it with his body, preventing the victims from leaving. CW and TD, the victims' security guards, watched Wright barricade the door in an attempt to force their way through in the control room, but were prevented from entering. With handguns drawn, CW and TD managed to partially open the door, but recognized they were outnumbered by the armed target suspects. RD was pushed onto the couch in the control room, causing the victims to believe that they were going to be executed. Williams Jr. placed the barrel of a firearm to the back of BP's head and ordered him and RD to leave the control room at the studio through the west entrance of the building. RD then instructed CW and TD to escort them to their vehicle. As the victims left, MM turned to Williams Jr. and asked him if they were really going to take his watches. Based on later recovered surveillance video, the target suspects left the studio office building through the east entrance around 4:48 p.m. Exterior surveillance videos recovered from neighboring buildings showed a white Buick Enclave, a black Charger Hellcat, and a black Dodge Ram with a distinct roll bar affixed to the bed of the truck traveling northbound shortly after the kidnapping and robbery below. And according to law enforcement databases, Wright's father, also named Rodney Wright, owns a 2020 Dodge Charger Hellcat with Tennessee plates. And it says that the license plate readers placed the Charger in Texas, including the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex during the relevant time period, in particular a 2:18 p.m. scan on January 10, 2026, captured the Charger following in close proximity to the black Dodge Ram bearing the Arkansas license plate. The Dodge Ram appears to have been with the same distinct roll bar as captured in surveillance video near the fence that was seen later that afternoon. A license plate reader scanned at or around 5:04 on January 10, 2026 placed the Charger traveling in close proximity to a white Buick Enclave bearing Texas plates. It came back to Hertz Rental as the registered owner. They subpoenaed Hertz Rent-A-Car, and it came back to be rented by Pooh Shiesty's dad. So this is all not looking good, guys. This all paints a horrible, horrible picture. All the money in the world can get you out of some shit, but when they got you, they got you. And this case, as time has went on, the worse it's been looking. So next, they're going to talk about Williams Jr.'s electronic location monitoring. While Jr.'s is currently serving a 63-month sentence for violation of 18 U.S.C., conspiracy to possess firearms and furtherance of violence and drug trafficking crimes, he's sustained in the Southern District of Florida. According to records received in the Bureau of Prisons, Williams Jr. was approved for home detention on or about October 31st, 2025. As part of conditions for his home detention, Williams Jr. agreed not to possess any deadly weapons or knowingly be in the company of a person who is possessing the same. Additionally, Williams Jr. is required to wear an electronic monitoring device monitored by the Bureau of Prisons. Investigators received partial records associating Williams Jr.'s electronic monitoring device, including location data from January 9, 2026 and January 10, 2026. The records corroborated the information investigators received regarding Williams Jr.'s movement, including the location at or near the offense location on January 10th. Next, let's talk about another wild piece. I don't know what kind of street. I don't care what kind of street dude you are. How tech savvy you are. $50. Go get you a printer, because the next part of this criminal complaint is Staples. They got the contract printed out at Staples. I don't know what made them think they could get away with this, but let's go on. So, on the day of the offense, at approximately 1:50 p.m., Williams Sr. was seen on video entering Staples located at 333 Preston Road, Frisco, Texas. His rented Buick Enclave, the one seen on surveillance video parking lot near the front of the store, the same one seen at the recording studio, after which Williams Sr. enters the store, walks in to the copy printer machines. Investigators obtained a copy of the receipt and confirmed that the transaction occurred at the machines at 1:59 p.m. At the time Williams Sr. is seen on surveillance video, near the machines printing out the paper. Due to the close timing of the visit to Staples prior to the offense, the fact Williams Sr. went straight to the printing area of the store, and the timing of the receipt confirming the transaction occurred while Williams Sr. was near the store's printers. Investigators believe that Williams Sr. and Williams Jr. went to Staples with the purpose of printing off the contractual release that was presented to RD. This next part is cell phone records. So, investigators obtained cell phone records for Williams Jr., Williams Sr., Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers, and Gibson all their cell phone records. Telemetrics location, data, and records for the Dodge Charger Hellcat and the Dodge Ram. Cell phone records for Glover and McDaniel are pending. The records indicate that Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers, and Gibson traveled together from Memphis, Tennessee to Dallas, Texas in the Dodge Charger Hellcat and the Dodge Ram. They left Memphis on January 8th, that was the day after my birthday, and arrived in Dallas, Texas in the early morning of January 9th, 2026. The data from Glover's electronic monitoring device aligns with the cell phone data records on January 10th, 2026 from approximately 2:28 to approximately 2:46. Williams Jr. and Williams Sr., Wright, Johnson, Waters, Gibson, the Dodge Charger, the Hellcat were in the area of the Windrose location, a location where Williams Jr. resided prior to moving to his new residence at 12 Cowboys Way in Frisco, Texas. They all traveled together to the area of the offense, the location arriving at approximately 3 o'clock p.m. The data from Williams Jr.'s electronic monitoring device and location information from the Buick Enclave align with the cell phone records. Williams Jr., Williams Sr., Wright, Rogers, Gibson, the Dodge Hellcat, the Dodge Ram all traveled together to the area of the offense, the location leaving at approximately 4:50 to the area of the Star in Frisco, Texas, arriving at approximately 5:07 p.m. Williams Jr., Williams Sr., Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers utilized towers with coverage that includes the Star until approximately 9:30. The data from Williams Jr.'s electronic monitoring device and location information from the Buick Enclave align with the cell phone records. Wright, Johnson, Waters, Gibson, the Dodge Charger, the Hellcat, and the Dodge Ram traveled together from the area of the Star in Frisco, Texas, to the area of the Comfort Inn in 11069 Composite Drive, Dallas, Texas. They had to stay at a fucking Comfort Inn. Like, y'all supposed to have a bag, like, and y'all just hit a crazy lick. Like, I would have stayed in a nicer room. Like, call me bougie. But anyway, they remained overnight. So all his shooters, they went to the Comfort Inn, while the Williams Jr., Williams Sr. remained at the Star overnight. On February 24th, 2026, the Flix North America Inc., which owns Greyhound Bus Lines, responded to a subpoena with records documenting that on January 11th, 2026, all the suspects traveled together on Greyhound from Dallas, Texas to Memphis, Tennessee. Cell phone records indicate that on January 13th, 2026, that's my mom's birthday, Wright, Johnson, and Waters traveled together with the Dodge Ram from Dallas, Texas to Memphis, Tennessee. The Dodge Charger and the Hellcat was stolen. The Dodge Charger Hellcat was stolen from the Comfort Inn in the early morning hours of January 11th, 2026. That's karma, y'all. It was reported stolen by an individual TA on January 13, 2026 at approximately 1:04. And shortly after Wright left the Dallas area. Next is the Comfort Inn. After reading the incident report for the stolen Dodge Charger Hellcat and analyzing the cell phone records for Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers, and Gibson, investigators determined that they stayed at the Comfort Inn from January 10th to the 11th. Comfort Inn records confirmed Gibson paid for 4 rooms at the hotel. Investigators reviewed surveillance footage from the Comfort Inn and observed Wright Johnson, Waters, Gibson, Glover, and McDaniel inside the Comfort Inn, all clad in clothing similar to what the suspects were wearing at the kidnappings and the robberies. They appeared to be wearing the same thing as seen in the surveillance footage. Alright. Next is AF hits. On January 16, 2026, AFIS quality later prints lifted from the crime scene run through AFIS the same day DPD forensic fingerprint expert received hit notifications that were from the print of the solo cup, identified the left ring finger of Gibson, and another print from Rogers. Also, this next part, and hear me out, all my young people who are aspiring to be about that life and are aspiring to be criminals. Listen to what this next part of the indictment is called. Identification of the target suspects through Instagram. Yep, I'm going to say it one more time. Identification of the target suspects through Instagram. So, a whole part of this is flexing. So, it says MM, BP, and RD all previously knew Williams Jr. by both his legal name and under the name which he performs, Pooh Shiesty. Pooh Shiesty has a verified Instagram account, and the individual depicted throughout the account matches Williams. MMRD and were described. It's saying that he's seen wearing the Shiesty mask, and he's depicted throughout at Pooh Shiesty. His dad's name on there is Mob Ties Global. He's identified as Williams Sr. And Wright is identified at CEO Big 30. Waters, that is identified as KD375X. MM identified KD as a nickname for Waters and described him as Williams Jr.'s right-hand man. MM described Waters' attire during the offense as a black hoodie with white stripes down to the sleeves. Investigators matched Waters' driver's license photograph as the individual depicted throughout the robbery. And this guy is Rogers, and his name fits. Damn Fool 375. BP identified an individual he knew as Damn Fool 375 as present during the offense and described his physical appearance and clothing. Investigators located his Instagram account and were able to identify him as a target suspect. The same one seen on surveillance footage at the location. And the individual believed to be Rogers can be seen exiting the building carrying what appears to be the Louis Vuitton bag of Gucci Mane's cameraman, MM, that was reported stolen on January 15th. Rogers posted a video showing him wearing the Rolex GMT Master. In parentheses, it says Batman Rolex with an oversteel band that appears visually similar to the watch stolen from MM, who provided investigators with photographs, a receipt, a serial number from the stolen watch. Additional posts on Damn Fool 375 show him wearing shoes similar to the ones he had on the day of the robbery. MM identified the Instagram user as the individual who choked, scratched, and wanted to shoot him during the offense. Investigators matched Glover's driver's license photos to the individual depicted on the account, and Wright's criminal history revealed a prior arrest with Glover. And next, I'll show this on the screen. This is the Instagram pictures where, he's seen with the cash and the stolen Rolex, which is time-stamped. And, one thing I seen on No Jumper was Whack 100 saying, and Vlad and all these people saying, is us that buy these types of, watches, we keep the receipts to them bitches. We keep the boxes. And, they have insurance on them. Alright. Let's keep going down. On January 17, 2026, a story showing Glover with a Rolex that appears identical to the other one stolen from Gucci Mane's cameraman. And then on January 19, 2026, videos of Glover wearing a necklace with the 1017 pendant appears to be stolen from BP. So, Johnson Baby Slime, BP identified an individual he knew as Baby Slime 375 as present during the offense, describing him as a short, younger black man with a darker skin who wore a shiesty mask and a beanie, held BP and others at gunpoint. A December 20th, 2025 Instagram story posted by Twin CMO tagged Baby Slime. Memphis investigators identified Baby Slime as Corday Johnson from previous gang investigations. McDaniel Glizzy 375, BP identified Glizzy 375 as a young black male with a low fade haircut who wore an all black and wore all black and a shiesty mask during the offense, threatened to shoot BP before Williams Jr. intervened. And online investigative research identified Glizzy 375 as an Instagram account associated with Darian McDaniel. Investigators confirmed the individual depicted on the account appears visually similar to McDaniel. Next, Gibson Mukuru, it's spelled MOOKIERU _375. Online investigators researched and the Memphis gang investigators confirmed that the individual depicted throughout was Mukuru 375, matches as Gibson's recent arrest booking photograph. The account features identifiers as 375 and CMO. Alright, so, and next is just a summary of the target suspects, and it's going to talk about each of them's role. So let's go over it. Alright, DeMarcus Glover, eyewitness accounts state that Glover produced a handgun or AR-AK style pistol and robbed MM of his personal property. Surveillance video and eyewitness accounts placed Glover at the offense location and following the offense to the Comfort Inn with other target suspects wearing consistent clothing with what the other suspects in the kidnapping/robbery were wearing. Glover posted multiple videos of himself and the target suspects on Instagram, flashing cash, wearing what appeared to be stolen jewelry. So yeah, rocket science. But Greyhound bus lines records indicate Glover traveled with other target suspects on January 11, 2026 from Dallas, Texas to Memphis, Tennessee. Now, let's talk about Demarion Gibson and what his part is. So, surveillance video and eyewitness state that Gibson left the offense building and returned with a bag presumably containing firearms. Surveillance and eyewitness accounts play Gibson placed Gibson at the offense and location following the offense to the Comfort Inn with the other suspects, wearing clothing consistent with what the other suspects in the kidnapping and robbery appeared to be wearing. Cell phone records indicate Gibson traveled from Memphis, Tennessee to Dallas, Texas on January 9, 2026, and placed Gibson in the area of the offense location during the offense. Greyhound bus line records indicate Gibson traveled with other target suspects on January 11, 2026 from Dallas, Texas back to Memphis, Tennessee. Gibson's print was also lifted from that cup at the crime scene. On January 11, 2026, Glover posted to his Instagram a video of Rogers and Gibson on a bus showing them flashing large amounts of cash. Fucking geniuses, bro. And next, Corday Johnson eyewitness accounts state Johnson held BP and others at gunpoint inside the recording studio control room. Surveillance and eyewitness accounts placed Johnson at the offense location following with the other target suspects to the Comfort Inn, wearing clothing consistent with what the other suspects in the kidnapping/robbery appeared to be wearing. Cell phone data records indicate Johnson traveled from Memphis, Tennessee to Dallas, Texas, arriving on January 9, 2026. Cell phone records indicate Johnson traveled back to Memphis, Tennessee from Dallas, Texas, with other target suspects on January 13, 2026. Next, Darian McDaniel. Eyewitness accounts state that McDaniel stole jewelry from BP at gunpoint while threatening to shoot him. Surveillance video and eyewitness accounts placed McDaniel at the offense location following the offense at the Comfort Inn with other target suspects wearing clothing consistent with what the suspects in the kidnapping/robbery appeared to be wearing. And the Greyhound bus records indicate McDaniel traveled with other target suspects on January 11, 2026 from Dallas, Texas to Memphis, Tennessee. Glover posted on his Instagram account on January 11, 2026 of an individual known as Glizzy, a nickname of McDaniel, flashing a large amount of cash. Terrence Rogers' eyewitness accounts state that Rogers searched BP's pockets, stole his wallet at gunpoint. Surveillance video and eyewitness accounts place Rogers at the offense location and following the offense at the Comfort Inn with the other target suspects with clothing consistent with the ones in the robbery. Alright, cell phone records also show the same thing. And then Rogers posted on Instagram flashing the stolen Batman Rolex. Kadarius Waters, he was eyewitness accounts state Waters produced a firearm, held victims at gunpoint. The surveillance videos show him there. Cell phone records, more cell phone records, and this is what they got against the big dog, against Pooh Shiesty. Eyewitness accounts state Williams Jr. brought RD into the recording studio and demanded that RD sign the release contract at gunpoint before taking RD's wedding ring, watch, earrings, and cash. Eyewitness accounts also place Williams Jr. in the room when the additional kidnapping and robbery of MM and BP occurred. Cell phone records, electronic location monitoring, and surveillance footage plans place Williams at the offense location. Electronic location monitoring data also places Williams Jr. at Staples with his father and believed to be printing the termination contract prior to arriving at the offense location. And this is what they got on Launcherell Williams Sr. And, you know, I can't speak on it. I don't know the man personally, but if I had to guess, this is going to be like queso number 2 because there's just been so much coming out about how this man, he been doing this. He's informed before. Eyewitness accounts state that Williams Sr. procured the recording studio where the offense occurred. Williams Sr. and Williams Jr. Procured RD's signature on the contract's release. Surveillance footage from the day of the offense shows Williams Sr. entering the building unmasked and later exiting the building carrying a backpack he did not have when he entered. Surveillance footage and eyewitness accounts place Williams Sr. at the offense location following the offense wearing similar clothing to what the suspects in the kidnapping were wearing. Subpoena records show cell phone data, and subpoena records show him at Staples printing it off. And this is what they got against Big 30. So eyewitnesses show him holding the others at Wright went to the recording room with Williams Jr., returned with the bag containing the firearms. Surveillance video and eyewitness accounts place Wright at the offense location following the offense wearing similar clothing. And cell phone data, the conclusion. Alright, and this is it, you guys. Based on the facts set forth above, there is probable cause to believe that on January 10, 2026, the Dallas Division of the Northern District of Texas, all the defendants, it was issued. Alright, guys, that's part 1. Be on the lookout for part 2. We're going to be breaking this shit down. If you made it to the end, thank you for being here.